Imagine standing in front of something that feels impossible. A problem so big that everyone around you has already decided there's no point in trying. That's where this story begins. Long ago, in ancient Israel, two armies faced each other across a wide valley. On one side was the army of Israel. On the other side were their enemies, the Philistines. For days, nothing happened. No battle, no movement. The reason was simple. The Philistines had a secret weapon. His name was Goliath. Goliath wasn't just a strong soldier. He was a giant. The Bible describes him as over 9 feet tall. He wore heavy armor from head to toe and carried enormous weapons that looked impossible for an ordinary person to lift. Every morning and every evening, Goliath stepped forward into the valley and shouted at the Israelite army. He mocked them, he insulted them, and then he made a challenge. "Send out one man to fight me," he said. "If he defeats me, we'll serve you. But if I win, you'll serve us." But no one stepped forward. The soldiers of Israel were terrified. Even King Saul, the leader of the nation, was afraid. Day after day, Goliath shouted his challenge, and day after day, fear grew stronger. It felt as if the battle was already lost before it even began. Then one day, something unexpected happened. A young shepherd named David arrived at the battlefield. David wasn't a soldier. He wasn't trained for war. He was the youngest son in his family, and his usual job was watching sheep. His father had sent him to the camp simply to bring food to his older brothers who were serving in the army. David expected to deliver the supplies, check on his brothers, and then return home. But when he arrived, he heard Goliath's voice. David watched as the giant shouted insults at the Israelite army and even insulted their God. He looked around expecting someone to respond, someone to step up. But instead, he saw fear on every face. Confused, David asked the soldiers nearby, "Why hasn't anyone fought him?" The men stared at him in disbelief. "That's Goliath," they said. "No one can defeat him." But David didn't see what they saw. Where others saw an unbeatable giant, David saw a challenge that didn't belong to Goliath at all. To David, this wasn't just a military problem. It was a matter of faith. When word spread that a young boy was talking about fighting the giant, David was brought before King Saul. Saul looked at him and shook his head. "You can't fight him," Saul said.
"A mere shepherd,
"You're just a boy.
against the giant?
He's been a warrior
This is
his
madness,
entire
not faith.
life." But David
My
spoke
lord,
with quiet confidence.
I have faced the lion
He told the
and
king
bear.
about the times he
Your
had
faith
protected
long
his
not
sheep
prevail.
from lions and
The
bears,
Lord who delivered
how
me
he
from the
fought
lion
them
and the
off with
bear
his
will
own
deliver me from
hands,
this
and how
Philistine.
God had helped him every time. "The same God who saved me then," David said, "will save me now."
My lord, this armor is
Reluctantly,
heavy and too large
Saul
for me.
agreed.
You will need it, David.
He tried to dress
The enemy is
David in
strong.
royal armor, placing a helmet on his head and
is too
armor
great
on
a
his
burden
body.
for you.
I
But it
cannot
was
bear
too
it, my
heavy.
king.
David could barely move. This armor wasn't meant for him. So David took it off. Instead, he chose what he knew: a shepherd's staff, a sling, and 5 smooth stones from a nearby stream. With these simple tools, David walked toward the valley to face the giant. When Goliath saw David coming, he burst out laughing. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. "Am I a dog?" Goliath sneered, "that you come at me with sticks?" He cursed David and threatened him, promising to crush him and leave his body for the birds. To everyone watching, it seemed like David didn't stand a chance. But David didn't look afraid. He stood tall and spoke with confidence. "You come against me with sword and spear," he said, "but I come against you in the name of the Lord." David wasn't pretending Goliath wasn't dangerous. He simply believed that the size of the giant didn't matter when compared to the power of God. As Goliath moved closer, David did something no one expected. He ran toward the giant. Reaching into his bag, David took out a stone, placed it into his sling, and swung it with all his strength. The stone flew through the air and struck Goliath in the forehead. The giant stumbled, then fell face first to the ground. The valley fell silent. The warrior everyone feared was defeated by a shepherd boy. David had done what no one else believed was possible. When the Philistines saw their champion fall, they ran. The Israelite army, filled with new courage, chased them away and won the battle. But this story is about more than a dramatic victory. David and Goliath reminds us that giants don't only appear on battlefields. Giants show up in our own lives too. They can look like fear, doubt, failure, insecurity, or situations that feel far bigger than we are. The real giant in this story wasn't just Goliath. It was fear. Fear had already defeated the army long before the stone was thrown. David shows us another way. He wasn't fearless. He wasn't relying on his own strength. He simply trusted that he wasn't facing the problem alone. He focused less on how big the obstacle was and more on where his help came from. David didn't win because he was powerful. He won because he believed the giant was smaller than God. That's why this story has lasted for thousands of years, because it reminds us that courage doesn't mean having no fear. It means choosing faith over fear when it matters most. And it leaves us with a powerful question to reflect on. What giant are you facing right now? And what might change if, instead of running away, you took one step forward and trusted that even the biggest giants can fall? Sometimes, all it takes is courage, faith, and the belief that you're not standing alone.
Type Amen in the comment section if you needed this today.